And it's a challenge.
What do you make of him just as a leader? If we were looking at the way you would grade a leader, how would you look at Trump?
From a leadership perspective?
Yeah.
I think Trump is an interesting characteristic of some really broad extremes, right? So he does things that I say, oh, good move. And then literally 20 minutes later, I'll be thinking to myself, what, how can you even think that this is a decent thing to do, right? And by that I mean, jumping out on Twitter and criticizing some kind of person, some individual human being,
celebrity or something,
some celebrity.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? So I think the guy, who was it that just the testimony that just took place?
Michael Cohen.
Yeah. So Michael Cohen gets up and says that Trump is a bad character. And I'm like, okay, this to me is not a surprise. I mean,
right.
I don't think this is a big surprise to anyone. This is a guy that he's not the guy that you want your daughter to marry. At least I don't want my daughters to marry someone like that. Okay, so what's his character like? Not the one that we want to model ourselves after. Do we want a leader to be someone that we can look up to and model ourselves after? Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to look at our leader and say, wow, I really respect that person and I want to follow them and I'm going to emulate their actions and their behavior. That's absolutely, that's what a leader is.
Yeah.
So does Trump fall short on that? Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. So it's a strange world that we live in, that guy versus Hillary Clinton, who he ran against. Neither one of those people are people that you look at and say, seems like a character I want to emulate. That's what I'm looking towards. I want to be that person. I want to move in that direction. From the 300 plus million people in America, those are the two candidates that we put forward. What is wrong with us?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Well, what is wrong with us? What do you think the answer to that is? Is that just the way the political system's set up, or is that the media, or is that us?
I think it has to do with the political system for sure. I think it has to do with the way that media is and the way celebrity is, that the name is able to carry itself, the character, the self-branding that goes out, I think drives so much of this that we're not really assessing what type of leader this person is going to be. We're assessing how popular they are.
So for a guy that talks about discipline a lot, when you see Trump tweeting, is that what's going on in your head? You're like, man, this is just a discipline thing. Like, you get some of these things right, and if you could just discipline yourself in another way.
Yeah, and I would say that I thought when Trump won the election, and I was just as surprised as anyone, when Trump won the election, I thought, okay, well, you know what? At least now we're going to get to see him step up and act presidential and all that. What did it take? 15 minutes before he looked at it and said, okay, it's going to take him a little bit longer than I thought.
Right.
But it hasn't changed. And it was the same thing. You'd see Hillary Clinton do the same types of things, where you just doing behavior that you'd say to yourself, why are you doing that? You don't do that. You don't do those kind of things. You don't behave that way. And so I think you just have to, we have to kind of gut through. I hope that this is a situation where this is a pivot point for the country, where we'll start looking around and saying, okay, we don't really want to do that.
Uh-huh.
We want to look for the right person that's going to do this job correctly, that's going to represent the country well. And
are you worried that we don't get out of this? Whatever this thing is that everyone can sort of feel and no one knows exactly what it is, just this endless bickering, and how it seems like social media is making us all hate each other, and that we don't have real, at least at the political level, leaders to look up to if you're looking for self-discipline and morality and whatever else.
When I had people write when Trump got elected, people would just fly off the handle with me, right? And I don't really talk about politics very often, and the reason that I don't talk about politics very often is because from a leadership perspective, if I'm trying to get you to do something, the worst way to lead is for me to bark at you and tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. That's not good leadership. So I don't do that with people that I communicate with. I don't say, hey, he's horrible and she's great, or she's horrible and he's great. I don't say that. I just I just give examples from history about the way good leaders behave and the way bad leaders behave and let people make their own decisions. But somebody was hitting me up, hey, you know, you need to speak out. And, you know, I said, okay, well, here's my speech. America is stronger than one man. America is stronger than one man. America is stronger than any one individual politician. We're a massive, you know, a massive ship, and a massive ship takes a long time to turn. And the checks and balances that are in place inside the government, which are sometimes really, really bureaucratic and disappointing and aggravating because it's so hard to change things, they're hard to change for a reason. So am I worried that this tipping point won't come? No, it'll come eventually, because eventually the free people of America won't allow for things to go so far in one direction or so far in the other direction. We won't allow it.
Yeah.
Now, what makes it hard to reach that tipping point is because America, it's so beautiful in America, right? It's such a stress-free life, right? It's just, you know, we were in the middle of 2 wars, and that didn't affect the average American in any way whatsoever. Not even the oil prices, like nothing affected them. They were still driving their SUV to Starbucks and ordering a latte with zero impact. And that was when we were fighting 2 wars and losing people every day on those battlefields. It was no factor. So what happens in America is we pretty much don't care as long as we're comfortable. But if things start to get uncomfortable, that's when I think the real tipping point will come, and there'll be a backlash one way or the other.